Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we're going to continue a series that we started. This is our revisit series where we talk about games that we have already reviewed to see if we still like them.
Yeah, so every once in a while, I like to dust one off. That it's been a while since we've played it, maybe, or it's been a while since we reviewed it and talked about it. Yeah, and then we see what our thoughts are. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down, sometimes it stays the same. Yeah. So the game we're talking about today...
Just don't say it.
What? Don't say what?
Don't. It's forbidden.
What's forbidden?
The game. Just don't say the game.
Oh, the name of the game?
Yeah.
Oh, the name of the game is Forbidden Sky. What? Yoo-hoo! I didn't know he was going to show up. Yoo-hoo! It is I, Forbidden Sky. Did someone say my name? I'm here to play. Can I come in?
Yeah, sure. You're already here.
Ooh, this is going to be so much fun. Yes, so the game we're talking about is Forbidden Sky. This is the third in the Forbidden series from Gamewright as well as Matt Leacock. The first one was Forbidden Island, then there was Forbidden Deserts, and then now we've got Forbidden Sky. This is all about kind of these circuits that you're building. You're actually building live circuits on this board. You're trying to connect this different spaceship, or the spaceship, to these different capacitors and lightning rods and different things, so this thing can actually get enough electricity to take off. And it actually makes noise and lights up and does all this stuff. So let me show you what it looks like on the table. All right, here is our setup for Forbidden Sky. Now, the game takes place, plot-wise, immediately after the events of Forbidden Desert, if you've played that. So, our airship comes down and lands on a little platform there, as you can see. There it is. All right, so what we're doing in this game is we are trying to get to our spaceship, get it powered up with all the right capacitors and all of the right lightning rods, all the things that we need. Now, in order to determine what we need, there are 4 different difficulty levels. There is normal, legendary, novice, and elite, and they have varying degrees of components they need in order to take off. The more components you need, the harder it is. All right, so what we're going to be doing is we are going to be using our actions to draw these tiles. We're going to be placing them on the board, connecting things, kind of moving around using our actions in order to build these different things. If we ever get, connections built, such like that right there, that is going to drop one of our lightning rods. Lightning rods are good because they advance into the game. However, they are bad because they present some danger to us. What we're trying to do is we're trying to find all the different circles that are going to kind of allow us to play those. So, for instance, if we play some of these small ones like that, once we complete that half one, that is going to allow us to put one of those small capacitors on the board. Now, there's also going to be a whole lot of symbols on the board, like that one, for instance, is a gear card. There's a whole bunch of different items in there that's going to help us build our connections, kind of help heal us, help us get through some of the terror of the board, and help us to move around a little easier as well. The small capacitors only take 2 tiles to build. The larger ones take 4 tiles to build. And also our main spaceship over here, that's going to take 4 tiles as well. I'm just going to kind of dig through and get the appropriate ones. So for instance, having these over here built like that would allow us to place our big ship, which this thing is pretty awesome. You're going to get 4 actions per turn. It's going to consist of you moving around. You're going to be able to drop some of these, these wires that are going to help us connect things. And then we're also going to be able to drop tiles that allow us to place these capacitors. But at the end of your 4 actions, then the board gets their turn. Basically, based off of this chart right here, you're going to draw some cards from the storm deck. There's going to be a lot of different things that happen. For one thing, you might have some lightning striking. That's where those lightning rods are going to be really bad. Basically, if you are on a lightning rod or on any space that's connected to a lightning rod by either the copper printed spots on the board or by the actual magnetic, kind of wires that you laid, either way, you're going to lose health on your card. So on your cards right there, there's going to be a track for your health from the lightning, and also a track right there from your rope. Now, there's another factor of the game that's going to be wind. So if you're over on a spot and the wind card comes up, and this is kind of the direction of the wind, if you get blown off the side, if let's say you're here, and the wind blows you over here, you're going to lose some rope. Over the course of the game, there's going to be some wind cards that kind of change the direction of the wind as well, adds to the kind of the peril. And then also there's going to be Storm Intensifies cards. That's going to basically take our little chart here, raise it up and up and up, so we're drawing more and more cards. If we ever get all the way to the top, we're going to lose the game. So we never want to make it let it get that far. So players kind of have to balance progressing the game as well as keeping themselves and their teammates alive. You only win the game if you're able to make one continuous circuit of all the components that are needed for that particular scenario that you're playing. And everyone gets to that final spot where the spaceship is. One of those 4 spots that the tile is made up of, that makes it up. Once everyone gets there and the final piece gets played, that wraps it all up, we're going to win the game. It actually lights up and makes a little bit of noise. Super exciting, right? All right, but there's one way to win, but there are many, many ways to lose. And obviously that's not a real path that would make the game win. I just wanted to make a circuit so you guys could hear the noise. All right, so the ways that you can lose are if any player gets to 0 on either their lightning track or on their rope track, we lose the game. If we get to the top of this, we lose the game. We can also lose the game if we complete the circuit going back to our spaceship without everyone being on board and without it being, completed per the card that we're using. Now, you're only able to hold 3 of those tiles at a time, so you really want to kind of use them sparingly, place them whenever they need to kind of make sure you build the right capacitors in the right places. And then also, every player has their own special abilities. You want to make sure you use those to full effect as well. Some people are better at maybe healing rope or healing lightning damage, or maybe they're better at building, some of the capacitors or whatever. Everybody has their own special abilities, and you really want to make sure you use those so you can maximize your chances to win.
So when we first reviewed this game, I said that Forbidden Sky was my favorite of all the Forbidden series. And I really want to say that that's still true. It's just, we haven't played it since we reviewed it. And we have played the other ones. So it's like, the evidence isn't there. Like, I want to say it's my favorite, but nobody asks for it. Nobody wants to play it, including myself. Nobody wants to play it. To set it up just takes just a little bit longer than the other 2. So if a game feels super similar, but it takes longer to set up, why not just not play it and play the other ones?
Yeah, I agree. Mine, I think I called it back then. I called it in the middle of the 3 for me. It has since dropped to the bottom, and by a pretty good margin too. And for a lot of reasons, one of the things is when I'm playing a cooperative game, I like there to be a challenge, and the challenge is either one of 2 things. Either it's super random and chaotic, like a dice rolling co-op, and it's just silly and it's fun and it's tough, and if you win, you lose, it's great. It doesn't matter. It's fun. Or if we're playing a more puzzly style cooperative game, like maybe for instance the other ones or Pandemic or one of those, you're trying to solve this puzzle that's kind of unfolding before you. You have a little bit of heads up when something is coming. You have some kind of forethought. You have some knowledge going into it. This to me felt like this was like an unhappy compromise between the 2. It was, it gave you the illusion of strategy, it gave you the illusion of control, but really, you're at the mercy of everything that's happening around you. You don't know what's coming up next. You have no control. You have no strategy that you can really implement. You have plans going into it, but you might spend half the game digging for certain tiles that you're just not getting. And by then, everyone's losing health and blowing off the side with the wind taking you out and all this stuff. So it felt like the control that you had in this game was superficial.
Yeah. So one of the biggest complaints about this game when it first came out was that it had a huge toy factor, which at the time I completely disagreed with. But now I have a 7-year-old, and yes, it has a huge toy factor. That is so true. Not that that's necessarily like a bad thing, but I can understand how it kind of pulls away from the game aspect of the game, and I just felt like the payout wasn't worth it, right? So like you're working so hard to do this thing for like these 2 seconds of and it's like, wow. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I agree. This is, I don't have a problem with toy factor. I like games that look pretty, and this one does have some really cool bits to it, but it has to have a point to it.
Yeah.
And I felt like this kind of, the balance of this went from toy factor to gimmick on the kind of on that line on that spectrum, and it leaned too heavily on the gimmick side of it rather than on just a cool looking component that uses in the game. And on top of that, these little wires and things are extremely fiddly. You're trying to get them to all line up perfectly and match up and use the right parts of the tiles and things. You're just spending a whole lot of time arranging and rearranging and making sure the magnets are set up right. Very fiddly components trying to make this, again, just also to make sure that stupid sound like happens and the little light bulb goes off. So it is cool, but again, it feels like a lot of gimmick to me. They could have used the just cardboard tiles in place of all that stuff, and it would have worked just as good, if not probably better. It wouldn't have had the lights and stuff, but like I said, you can just do that yourself. Just take off.
So the reason why we chose this game to do a revisit on is because we've decided we don't need it in our collection anymore. So we wanted to touch base to say what our current thoughts were as we tell it to get out of the Newmeyer house.
Yeah, this is not making the cut. We've got a limited amount of space and time, and other games are just calling for our attention more often than this one is nowadays. Yeah. Even though it's got a winning personality and
obviously.
Yeah, this is a game that I thought had some cool things. It is fun. But there's just a lot of games, even games that are, in its own series that I like better.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. We are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. On Facebook, we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. On Twitter, we are Ryan and Bethany 1. And on Instagram, we are Ryan and Bethany.
All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.